When it comes to drawing your can, as I said, we're getting the shape done correctly today. So you can use a ruler very lightly, although you will need to go over it freehand. So there's my can. I can see it from a certain angle. You might be able to see it slightly different on the camera. So I'm going to draw the can slightly bigger than it is in real life. That'll give me more chance later to put in the shade in. These are just light guidelines. So now my top ellipse is about that. You can measure it if you want. Therefore, I know they are both equal. The top one needs to be an exact mirror image. So again, I'm going to check it. Therefore, if I do the top one, all of those are equal. Of course, now I've got to draw all these curves. So I've got two at the top. Making sure those distances are all the same. There's one. There's two. And then I'll leave a gap, and then I have to draw about 10. So there's the first one. Again, making sure it's the same. Being willing to rub it out. It's correct. So I'll need to draw probably about 10 of these. Now the important thing to check is that these two lines actually line up and are horizontal, because you don't want them to lean. The most common mistake when people draw a tin can is when they put the lines on, they've got their can done correctly, and when they put their lines around, they gradually start to lean over. And the other common mistake is they do the tin can, and the first line is curved, and then they gradually start to become straighter, and they don't curve. So you need to be careful with that. And lastly, for today, what you are going to do is you are going to check the edge of this isn't flat. So if you look at these areas, they're going to go in and out a little bit to show this part of the can is actually indented. The process of making the can crushes that part of the can into that shape. And that's what we are doing today, just the accurate outline of the can before we start any tone, shading, reflections, highlights and shadows.